How's it, Shticklers? Welcome to another fantastic episode 160. Today, we're going to talk about The Last of Us Season 2 teaser. We'll get a little bit into Thomas's San Diego Comic-Con, and obviously, we'll talk about how Deadpool and Wolverine is crushing in the box office. We'll also get into a few reviews of Abigail, Batman the Caped Crusader, and what is that? What is that one show that we
House of the
typically
Dragon
watch?
Season 2?
House of the Dragon Season 2 finale. Thanks for sticking around.
The Joystick Show.
Aloha, and welcome to the Joystick Show, a weekly podcast where three friends from Hawaii talk story about pop culture things that bring us joy. Shakas mahalos for checking us out. If can, please like and subscribe on any and every podcast platform. Also on YouTube. A 5-star review is greatly appreciated and helps us out a ton. I'm your co-host Drake, and that's Scott.
How's it?
And that's Thomas.
What up, what up? So, I think everybody kind of knows what this episode is about, but we got a few teaser trailers. We'll just briefly touch on some of the things that happened at San Diego Comic-Con this year. Deadpool and Wolverine, because I've seen it twice now. I think Scott's seen it twice now, so that's good. A movie I've been really wanting to see popped up on Peacock, so I could watch it for free. Abigail, we'll talk about that. We pretty much have only gotten to like episode 6, I want to say, of this new show, Batman the Caped Crusader. So that'll be a fun one. And then let's talk about the House of the Dragon finale and the season overall. So a lot of great stuff. Let's kick it off with that teaser trailer though, that dropped I think today. And it's for The Last of Us. If Pedro Pascal wasn't busy enough doing everything, the Mandalorian movie coming up, being Mr. Fantastic, being a just fantastic person in real life, along with coming back with The Last of Us Season 2. What did you guys think about this teaser? Because it's real short.
Yeah, it's real short. We get to see a lot of cool individuals from a bunch of different things that we love and enjoy. You're going to see some young Mazzino from Beef, Danny Ramirez from A Top Gun, Spencer Lord from The Good Doctor, and much, much more. I think the big one in there was Catherine O'Hara, which is pretty cool.
And Jeffrey Wright.
Oh yes, and Jeffrey Wright, of course. I thought it was pretty quick. It just showed us clips of stuff that we want to see, and brings us back to, remember when you saw the show and it was super good. But to your point earlier about Pedro Pascal, wouldn't it be a dream but also a nightmare to be his assistant right now? He's got so much stuff going on. Damn.
Yeah, he seems like a nice dude, so maybe it's more of a dream.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know. For him though, okay, this is going to lead into the San Diego Comic-Con. So I got to lucky enough be in the Marvel panel, and he came out with the rest of Fantastic Four, and they looked so dead. Like not in like a rude way or anything. Like they just looked exhausted because they had flown from the UK where they're filming Fantastic Four all the way to San Diego, and immediately they said after they were done filming they were going to fly back. And they were all trying to be in good spirits and be hyped, but you could tell like they were exhausted. So I'm like thinking, how the hell can this guy do all of this? Like he's got his own indie projects going on, or smaller movies, I'll say. But he's got the Mandalorian movie supposed to drop the same year as Fantastic Four, and then he's got The Last of Us coming out next year too. The guy is like busier than God. I don't know how he's gonna do it, but I love him. Everything he says is like charming and sweet, and like he seems like a normal person. It's great.
Yeah, he seems like one of those people. Like there's that saying like never meet your heroes, but he seems like one of the good ones. Even if he's not having Pedro a good Pascal. Day, he'll be gentle and nice and gentle.
He'll ask you if it's okay.
He'll give you his Fantastic Four.
There you go. Hey-o. He's definitely about to stretch something. But like, I just doubled up on what you said. Okay, just follow your train of thought.
Too far.
Wow.
Okay. Wow. Okay, that's the line, huh? That's the line. My bad.
Yeah.
My bad.
No, literally, he went too far because he stretches.
Yeah.
Hey.
Okay. All right.
The Joystick Show.
2 in a row. I'm just gonna move on from here. We're going back to San Diego Comic-Con though is a blast, guys. Like
cool.
It is just an amazing experience like the most hyped people in the world, people coming from all around the world. Artist Alley, I didn't spend as much time there as I wanted to. I looked for our friends from like California Inc. I ran into some other friends down here from San Diego who are comic book writers, creators, and all that stuff. But everything else, like the panels were fantastic this year. And obviously, like all I wanted from my San Diego Comic Con experience was to be in Hall H for the Marvel panel. They hadn't been there since 2019. They obviously were back, and all the crazy announcements that have come out of it. Like we haven't recorded anything about that. I think we've been talking about it kind of just between ourselves, like through text and stuff. But was there any announcements from Comic Con at all that you guys were like the most hyped about, surprised about? Yeah. What'd you think?
I mean, we kind of covered it. Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
I mean, other than
Doctor Doom.
Yeah. I mean, I think that was like hopefully the obvious one.
Yeah, all the things.
Yeah, that was the obvious. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Wasn't there other like some? I feel like everything just got eclipsed by those things. So to be honest, I can't even recall some of the other things that took place.
Yeah. Yeah. So they kicked it off with like this Deadpool and Wolverine kind of multiverse. There was all these Deadpools dressed in all like cowboys and riding a dinosaur and like all these like kooky things. And then they had this like big song and dance entrance like with this full choir, and that kind of kicked things off. And then Kevin Feige did a little speech, then brought out Rob Delaney to like narrate the panels. And the first one they started off with was Captain America: Brave New World. And it was like Anthony Mackie, the guy who plays Joaquin Torres, I think Danny Ramirez, Tim Blake Nelson, and there was one other actor I might be. And Giancarlo Esposito. So Christina says I say that wrong all the time, but I'm telling her it's Italian. It's not Spanish. He spent time in Italy, so I don't know.
Can't make everything Spanish.
Italian.
All right.
Yeah, exactly.
Like tacos.
Yeah, there's other cultures,
Not
like
all
the
the time.
Olympics is showing us. So yeah, but anyway, so he was up there and it was great.
Okay.
And Anthony Mackie and Harrison Ford looked like they were having a blast.
Yeah.
Like like if you've ever seen any interviews with Harrison Ford, he's kind of old and crotchety, but he looked like he was having fun. Like he was hulking out on stage.
Yeah.
He was trying to chase Anthony Mackie and like kick him in the ass. Meanwhile, like Anthony Mackie is like talking shit about Tom Holland, where Tom Holland was like, "Oh, well, you don't have your own movie," kind of thing. Where he's like, "You know who I got my movie now? Harrison Ford," like kind of stuff. So that was a ton of fun. The next one from there was Thunderbolts, and I gotta say the cast dynamic is weird. Like I'm excited for it because the trailer looked way better than I was imagining it could be, but it is a weird dynamic with the cast. Like I felt like Sebastian Stan was like creeping on Florence Pugh so hard.
Okay.
And it was on stage in front of 6,000 people. Like it was kind of awkward.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was trying to just be funny, and it just I don't know. I thought that was weird. Wyatt Russell was there, who played John Walker. I think he just knows people hate his character because he was just like, "I'm just here.
Yeah.
You guys are gonna hate me, basically. I don't care." It was like, "Oh, okay, that's
all right.
Interesting. Maybe refreshing. I don't know. Just seemed a little off-putting." But the trailer, yeah. Do you want me to go into it, or should you save this for another time?
Let's just save it for when it drops, and that way we can give the people what they're looking for.
Yeah, if you want to know more about it, hit DM us on Instagram or something. Thunderbolts, and then it went to Fantastic Four after that. I want to say,
seen that,
and that was really freaking cool because Matt Shackman came out and had talked about this was a dream and the concept of it, and this idea of like the 60s being a time of exploration and being a time of hope and being a time of like everything is possible, and so trying to take that kind of theme and build a different universe where technology went in a different direction, but still kept some of that 60s retro style to it. And that clip he cut together, again, you can watch it online. It is leaked kind of all over the place, but being in that room and not expecting anything, like we didn't expect the cast to come out, and then the cast came out, and then seeing that clip with the sound, it was like, holy shit. I think that, to me, yes, Robert Downey Jr. stole the show for a lot of people, but for me, being in that room, that was the biggest announcement. Like I was like, "Oh my god, I'm so hyped for Fantastic Four. It looks perfect."
You think it's gonna be better than the last 3 Fantastic Fours?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
I think so.
It's Matt Shakman has a style. Like if you like some of the most influential episodes of Game of Thrones were directed by him. Like Battle of the Bastards was him.
Okay.
He has his own look, but he also blends comedy. I mean, think about WandaVision. Like WandaVision may not be one of those shows you always go back and watch, but there's things you remember about it because of how stylistic every episode was, and I feel like he's bringing a lot of that, and he's really unique. Like I think this is a really smart choice bringing him because he understands Marvel, he understands humor, and he has his own style. So I think all those three, that trifecta right there, is going to make him a perfect director for this movie. And man, the chemistry between all the cast, the way like Eben and Joseph Quinn kind of like are bumping each other, trying to give each other crap, along with the way Vanessa Kirby looks at Pedro Pascal, like it really feels like they're in love. It does so much with so little. And then at the end, they had this like the Fantastic Car kind of floating above everybody, and then onto the stage over this retro futuristic skyline. It was like, damn, that is cool. It was so cool. I thought that was like one of the dopest things. So, yeah, and then of course you're right. You get the Russo brothers back, and all these different Dooms on stage, and they're doing this like stack cup things. You know, where you stick something under a cup and you mix it all around. Basically. Finally, like a green cloaked Doom comes up front, and then he takes off his mask. Boom, RDJ. But it took me a good like, people were already cheering, and I was still like,
"Who's that guy?
Is that who?"
Right.
I was like, "That's Robert Downey Jr.
Is that Sherlock Holmes?
That's Robert Downey Jr. Yeah,
Sherlock Holmes.
Sherlock Holmes.
That's funny.
Deep cut.
Funny
But like,
pool.
I was so surprised by it, and they're like, "Yeah, this is who we have to play Doom," and yeah. So I don't know. Out of all that, what was your guys' thoughts seeing that? Because I'm sure you saw it on like social media and everything.
No, Scott.
Here we
Go, Scott.
I get it. It's I love Robert Downey Jr. as an actor. Like, don't get me wrong, like, he's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm also kind of like in that.
I feel hesitation coming.
It's just I'm also a little bit in that camp of like, oh, like there's definitely other actors that could kill Doom, you know, and
yeah, and make him
you
alive.
know, and it doesn't mean we won't get that because you know variants, whatnot. Doesn't mean there's only one Doom. You know, there's so much that we don't know. It's dumb for me to be like, I'm angry or there's only one Doom and it's RDJ. Like, you know,
right. Why would they do that?
Yeah. But it makes sense. I mean, the way Marvel's going. I mean, Deadpool references it in the movie. You know, like you join Marvel at a low point. It makes sense to bring Robert Downey Jr. back. Like he's the what started it all too. You know, Iron Man. So it makes sense. Russo brothers. Yeah. It makes sense.
It makes sense. It makes sense. I think to your point, Scott, like if they do bring in other people, that could definitely be the case. In terms of saving the quote unquote timeline or the franchise or the company, by bringing back RDJ, who they know everybody already loves, to kind of help rekindle it because we went away from Jonathan Majors. They X'd out essentially Kang the Conqueror. So, I mean, that's not a terrible move, I think, on Disney's part. So, interesting choice. Will it work? Probably. Can they pivot?
Yeah.
Can they pivot from that and not make it just about that? Hopefully.
Right. Yeah. And I'm also assuming they're gonna do like because there were definitely just because. I mean, here's the thing. So there's people who like don't really read comics like we do, or like watching as much as we do. So they're like they can't even wrap their head around. They're like, "But he's Iron Man. Like, why? How could he even?" And I'm like, "Well, it doesn't mean he's not though. Like, he could very well be an Iron Man that takes a route where he's Doctor Doom. You know, like this could be a world where that happens or something. So, and then they spin it from there. We're gonna get Secret Wars. So it's not like it doesn't have to be the Doom that we all know. Like we could get that Doom later. Like maybe he's the bigger bad. I don't know. You know, anything can happen.
Totally.
But it makes sense to be like, let's throw a big name in there. Like everyone, like you're saying, everyone loves Robert Downey Jr. It's gonna spike the entrance of all the people who kind of just gave up already. Any Marvel show or movie coming out, like no matter how many times they let me down already, I'm still gonna check it out. But there's people who are like, nah, I'm done.
What's let you down?
Bro, that means I spent money and I'm like, oh, man.
Oh, where there's just a little bit of like, man, that could have been better. That kind of let
where
you
it's
down?
like, I'm constantly trying to tell myself like same thing like Kevin Smith. Like I try and remind myself like, dude, we're living in a time where we get superhero things at like a crazy, like I mean, I should be grateful, like, and I am, but it's so hard to not compare. Sometimes be like, like it could be so great, especially when you see little holes in the script. You're like, I feel like if that was just this and that, then this could have been amazing. But
I'll tell you what let me down. I know Thor: Love and Thunder. Like for some reason that is my go-to. Like I've watched it 3 times.
Yeah. It's good.
And I'm like, why did they do this? So yes, I understand. I think that let me know. But other than that maybe in She-Hulk. But other than that, I've kind of liked everything to like something about all the other properties. But those 2 things. But so you know who does a really good video about Tony Stark becoming Dr. Doom? Comic Explained. He did this video about how in this other world, rather than Reed Richards showing up to the dorm room with Victor Von Doom, it's actually Tony Stark, and that Victor Von Doom and Tony work on this project where he thinks it's for one thing, turns out it's another, and basically Dr. Doom swaps bodies with Tony Stark, and so that is like it's like a variant one-off type of situation, but instead of that all kind of works out the way it should in the end of that story, but instead you have it so that Doom now just stays Tony Stark with all of his money and wealth and looks like him and everything. So I think that would be a cool way to do it. I'm super on board. It sounded like a really interesting story, but there have been other variant stories out there over the last like 20 years about it. So it seems in a weird way like a safe choice and like an odd choice, but I also think like, wow, what a badass choice at the same time. Like so cool. I think he's gonna
at least we know he could kill it. Like if he wasn't Iron Man, we didn't have that history. We'd be pumped. You know what I mean?
Super,
so he's such a good actor. Like I don't doubt his ability. So I'm still on board still.
Definitely.
Yeah. The Joystick Show.
Well, I think the good times are already rolling, and maybe Marvel is coming back because we got Deadpool and Wolverine. It's already crushing the box office, and it had, I think, it was like almost the biggest opening for an R-rated movie ever, and now it is the biggest R-rated movie gross of all time domestically, beating another Jesus, Passion of the Christ.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Thoughts on that? Because I definitely have watched it twice.
I mean, you're just both of you are adding to this this count of global conspiracy to make this movie go into the fucking billions. It's probably going to be the highest grossing movie until something else better than it comes out. But 824 million globally is kind of crazy, especially in what 2 weeks?
Yeah,
bruh,
a little over 2 weeks,
bruh.
Yeah, I mean, and it's nice that there's nothing really out right now that's like just as big that's competing. Like just has to share the weekend, like Barbenheimer.
Yeah,
there's nothing like that going on. Just imagine how much money those would have made individually had they not, because people decided like, I gotta only pick one. Most people saw both, but you know what I mean.
But it forced you to go to one of them, right? Yeah, it forced you to go to one of them at least, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
but like us, we saw Deadpool twice. I it's so funny. Like, I have to say, I think it might be because like sometimes work is hard and you get tired, and I'm older now. Watching that movie the first time around, I didn't realize maybe how long I like shut my eyes for a second, because when I watched it the second time, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, the whole part with Nice Pool and him using him as a shield and then stopping there and going like, you're gonna say you'll make it, like that whole, I'm like, wow, I missed all this.
Oh, like, really? That was one of the best parts.
I know.
He's like, oh, you're going to regenerate. It's fine. And he's like, I'm going to what?
He's like,
regenerate? And then the blood's just spilling out of his mouth.
No, and then after that, he picks him up. Uses him.
He's in a shield.
And then Wolverine just picks up Dogpool and just like walks across, and everyone's like, oh, put away their guns. That was, but I'm kind of glad that I got like one of the funniest scenes for again. Like kind of again. Yeah, like, so it was like, time. It made it fresh. Like it was. It is a really great movie. Just don't don't watch movies when you're tired, guys. Okay?
Which happened a lot. I mean, just truth be told, nowadays. Furiosa, I definitely knocked out at one part, and so bad because I was sitting next to like the person who set up the screening and everything. But
Those
whatever.
damn reclining chairs, man. I gotta
Yeah.
just stop reclining.
I'm not getting invited back. Let's just put it that way.
Oh, man.
But yeah, it is such a good movie, and there's so many little details. And is it a perfect movie? No, but is it perfect for what the MCU needed right now? I think so. It was fun. It uses the multiverse well. It's over the top. It shows respect to the characters. It gives reverence to these worlds, and then at the end of the day, like, it doesn't diminish anything that happened in like the Fox Marvel movies. If anything, it showed the value of those things, and I think that was great. Like, it's just a really good, fun movie. And what else? What else do you need? You know, it's like I want to have a good time, and even so, it's funny. Like after Deadpool and Wolverine, you're right. He puts on the cowl right after Nice Pool is completely gone, head's gone, all that stuff. Right?
Yeah.
Wolverine pulls on the cowl, and they go through, and they're like, "Oh, I get to kill 100 of you." Yes. I was like, okay, how are they gonna kill them? Because literally Deadpool gets ripped in half in Deadpool 2 by the Juggernaut and is fine and just grows back the baby legs.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just was like, dude, how are they gonna kill these guys? So of course they go through everybody and then they start regenerating. And I was like, duh.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't surprised by that. I don't know.
I was also thinking though, I was like, so I guess like Ryan Reynolds, he said he's Deadpool Prime, right?
Yeah.
I was wondering, I was like, man, he's got maybe the fastest regeneration. Because some of these guys got knocked out early and they're just like out until the end of it. Some of them, like, it didn't seem crazy, you know? Whereas that fight in the car with Wolverine, like, he's getting like stabbed in the face.
Yeah.
Like, you know, his arms like completely, and it's like, and just like fixes. Like, maybe the more you get messed up, like, the quicker you, I don't know, like, he's just so good at healing now. But, yeah, they went down for a while.
Yeah.
So good though. It's such a good time.
Yeah.
It's such a good. That's a great movie. You believe that Wolverine's arms are mostly CGI'd, right?
And abs.
Definitely.
Wow.
No, I like.
They look
I
good.
I feel like that's real. Like Hugh Jackman, he put in the work,
Yeah,
man.
he's called Huge
I'm sure
Jacked Man.
That's why it's a lie, dude.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. You believe that conspiracy?
Yeah, dude.
Yes.
They just spoon fed you that.
No, but that was a good pull.
I'm sure it's a mix.
Yeah. I don't know, but it was great. I want to see, like, hopefully there's deleted scenes, you know, if like they sell the movie. Like I'm definitely buying this trilogy. You know, like Deadpool 1, 2, and 3, like the box set. Like this will be one I'll buy. Because I'll go back and watch these movies, and I have. I went back and watched Deadpool 1 and 2 for this movie, and I'm like, man, these movies were so fun. And they were doing something Fox wasn't doing at the time, and it's like, it's got a signature. Just like we were talking about with Fantastic Four, like that has a feeling of a director, of an artist. Like, say what you want about any of the Mad Max films, whatever, but like those have a style to it, and I like that. And I think this one, it does, because it has Ryan Reynolds in there, and I loved it. I think they deserve it. Seeing, like, imagine 3 of us, like someone's like, here, we'll give you $50 million to go make a movie, and then you get to go do it with your best friends, and then that movie is like a hit. It makes $1 billion. Like, and then you travel around the world with them. You get to promote it and do funny skits and stuff. Like, they live the dream. Like, that's the dream for me.
That's like the ideal. I'm sure that's a situation they all got into the business for.
Yeah.
They're like, I want to make an awesome movie. I want to have fun doing it. Travel with people I like. Like, that's so ideal. That's awesome.
Right.
And you feel happy seeing them happy doing it. Like,
I do. And like, even when they were on all the talk shows and they were doing Hot Ones and the Tonight Show or whatever, like all these different things, they were having a blast. And even all the interviews together, they were like joking around and like, can we say this? Can we not say this? Oh, well, I bet you want to say it. Like, that kind of stuff is just so good, you know? And I don't know. I think that side, like, those guys crushed it. I'm on board with any movie that they want to come back and see. Like, they at least got me for one ticket. I'll go check it out.
I agree.
So cool. I think that brings us into reviews now. And the first one is just a quick little movie that I've been wanting to see. The directors talked about it at WonderCon. I did kind of like a short little tidbit review about it on Instagram. You can check that out. But basically, it's on Peacock right now. It's called Abigail. It's a horror comedy. Definitely leans more towards the horror, I will say.
You're saying
The
horror
comedy.
or horror?
Both,
Can I
bro.
not say this?
Check it out.
Horror.
Horror
Why can I
comedy,
not?
okay.
What are you calling me, dude?
Yeah, dude. What's going on, dude?
There's a bunch of sluts in this comedy.
Whoa,
All right?
one
We'll get
time,
to that.
dude. I don't think they need to be called
I'm just
that.
I
kidding.
know, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, a horror comedy.
Okay, horror.
But it is
gotcha.
Okay.
it was fun. Like, I really enjoyed it. The cast is all great. There's like some really dumb jokes in there, but it kind of does some things that flips things on its head when it comes to like vampires. I don't think that's like a surprise. I think you could see that in the trailer, but yeah, it's kind of a cool premise. Like, these villains all seem like they're kidnapping this girl to get paid out, but like that's not what happens. And it's just a good time. Everybody's having a blast. I love Dan Stevens. You know, like, Dan Stevens he's such an underrated actor to me. He was recently in King Kong, The New Empire, I think it was called, but he was Legion in that FX show, and where he's playing all those different personalities. He was so good. And then he was also in Euro something. It was like the singing one with Will Ferrell and Rachel Eurovision, is that what it is? Yeah. He was the Russian guy in Eurovision that was trying to steal Rachel McAdams. Yeah.
He's
So then
also in Downton Abbey.
Oh, yes.
That's a little too highbrow for me. Makes sense.
Big
I
character.
didn't see it. Yeah, there you go. But he's great in this. He plays like a Brooklyn cop. And Melissa Barrera's in this too, and she's like the queen of like scary movies and all that stuff lately. So yeah, it was just a ton of fun. I did not like the ending, but if you want like something over the top and just like, there's a ton of gore in it and blood, but like some funny jokes, and it's not too scary, check out Abigail on Peacock.
Okay,
Nice.
I'll do it.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
yeah. The ending sucks though. I will say I hated the ending.
Just turn it off early, huh?
Yeah, you could watch it. Maybe you'll like the ending, but for me, I was like, God, that was what they didn't need to go that far.
You're
with
like,
it.
well, that's an ending.
Yeah. But I was like, 75% of this movie, like, I really like. So yeah,
okay.
that was fun. So that is Abigail. All right, what's next? Take it away, Scotty.
Oh yeah, Scott.
Oh yes. Yeah, right. Have it right here.
Talking about what?
Talking about Batman
Batman.
and the
yeah.
Caped Crusader.
Yeah, Crusader.
Yes, on Amazon Prime.
All right.
It's quite good.
Half
Batman,
Kiwi,
the
half
Caped
Australian,
Crusader.
half British.
Yeah. This Batman, you know, he's a little bit of everything, depending on where you're watching, and where he's located in time.
Gotham.
Really?
Gotham, yeah, mainly Gotham. I don't know what that was, dude. I'm gonna stop. It's getting wild, dude.
Whoa.
Okay. Whoa. Horrors? What?
Horrors,
Jesus, take it easy.
dude.
You're gonna sound
Relax.
like Gambit in a little bit.
Just
Don't
tell
worry.
everybody.
You
right
was
now.
your dialect coach.
The Minions?
Yeah.
Dude.
Oh man. Okay, so Batman, the Caped Crusader. It's on Amazon Prime right now. Thomas and I got about halfway through the season.
Mhm.
Drake got about 15 minutes
into the first episode.
into the season.
Yeah.
I'm actually really enjoying it
Okay.
right now.
Mhm.
For me, definite the nostalgia's there.
Yeah.
You know, it reminds me of the old animated series. What's cool is it's got fresh new takes on things. It's kind of dark.
Okay.
There's actually a part in the first app that we will get to once we both kind of give our thoughts on like how we roughly feel so far. But it's good. I'm really digging it. I think the writing's on point, and it kind of gives me that like Saturday morning cartoon feel. Like it's kind of cool to see like a new cartoon. It'd be unfair to compare it to X-Men 97, because X-Men 97 was like so like good, but like also its own thing. But
Very
like,
different.
What about
very different tones?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
What about OG
But,
animated Batman?
the thing is, I haven't watched the OG in a long time, but there's enough of this that reminds me of that, and I feel like almost like a little kid again. But also, I don't think little kid version of me should see. I don't know, like I don't remember seeing it, but there's parts in this where I'm like, this isn't for kids, it's for adults. Like
that's
there's some
exactly
dark
what I
stuff,
thought too.
But
Yeah,
I dig it.
right.
Yeah.
So before I give my interpretation, Drake, why did you only get 15 minutes in? Because I think this is going to relate to what I'm going to have to say.
Okay, so I was like, oh, this is new. I liked the Batman animated series back in the day. I liked what that brought. Very similar, kind of like a updated animation style. And then I get into the episode and I'm like, okay, so we're kind of like very stereotypical scene where it's a dark alley. There's lots of shipping containers. Batman does his thing. They don't really know what's going on. And then it pans to a courtroom, and I'm like, they're talking about some stuff. I haven't really seen Bruce Wayne yet. I haven't seen anybody who is the main bad guy. So they're doing a lot of exposition in that situation, setting up for the rest of the series, I presumed. But in the 15 minutes, I wasn't like, oh, wow, this is new and exciting and intriguing. I'm gonna forego doing, house chores and other activities to watch the rest of the episode. And that's where it left. But according to both of you, it's worth the watch, and I trust your opinions. So,
well, let me take it away on what you just said, because I agree with you.
Oh,
when I first put it on, I was like doing stuff or like maybe laundry or whatever, and I was like, yeah, I don't know, like I don't really get the hype, and I didn't stick it out. And then you do your thing at late at night. I'm like scrolling through threads. Everyone's like, Caped Crusader is amazing. Caped Crusader, oh my god, this is so good. Man, this reminds me of a little kid. I'm like, did I not watch the same thing? Like, am I wrong here? So I went back and I was like, okay, I had nothing to do at that point. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna watch this. And after I sat down and fully devoted my attention to the first episode, I was like, oh, I get it now. And then the second episode kicks off, and then before I know it, I was like, holy shit, I'm starting episode 5, or you know what I mean? So it starts slow,
Yeah.
but then all of a sudden, as it goes on, like you start seeing the animated series. You it's a different rendition of it, but there's like this noir style, and you're like, it's in a weird time frame where you're like, I can't tell if this is the 50s or modern day, or like what time period is this. So there's that element. It took also like I got used to the Batman voice. I'm like, it's not Kevin Conroy, but it's like, and the actor said, he's like, I wasn't trying to do a Kevin Conroy. I was trying to find my own thing. But then he does. And like, there is a distinct difference between Bruce Wayne and Batman. And when he's got Batman voice on, it's like no jokes. Like, it's all business. So yeah, I had to pay attention. And weirdly, it was almost like Shogun. Like, you can't be on your phone and watch Shogun. You have to like pay attention.
Yeah, you gotta pay attention.
Right. And like for some reason, this new Batman cartoon very much feels like that. And there's like a lot of little things that you have to catch that paint the world. Like the cops are talking about like, man, instead of us having to patrol this area, they should really like build it up so that, we could get some like more life back in. And it's like little comments where you're like, this whole political system is being explained to you if you pay attention. So yeah, I'm like, damn, there's things for kids. Don't get me wrong. I think kids will like it, but I also think like there are a lot of high concepts in here that I barely get as a mid 30-year-old. Like it could go over my head. I'm like, damn, it's good. It's good writing. It is really good writing.
Right, and they feel similar in like they could all be kind of one-offs, but there's enough in there to keep a through line. Like, Bullock and Flash are like trying to work their way up. So by kind of spoilers, like by the 4th episode, they're doing more shady stuff to put them in a position where they're pushing the commissioner out, or like James Gordon. I'm not sure if he's not the commissioner yet, but he's like leading.
Right, and he's working his way up too, which is cool. Barbara is like fine. She is not doing any type of crime fighting. It's like she just kind of works as an attorney or something for her dad, or not for her dad. Like they're on the same side, obviously, because they're good guys. But she's like doing something for the courts. Harley Quinn's not fully Harley Quinn yet. Clay, he's meeting all the villains for the first time
in a cool way too. Like it all like blend together nicely, and you can see their reasons for doing things. Like it's pretty strong, tight storytelling in each little episode. Like I'm really digging it. And then you see like especially in the beginning, you see like executive producers Bruce Timm, J.J. Abrams, and
Matt Reeves,
and like that whole like you see Matt Reeves, like, oh, okay, like it really does have like this detective aspect to it. Like he's really doing work. You see him as Bruce Wayne being like the silly, like, oh, whatever, and then like doing stuff, and then afterwards he's like, oh, I tried to see if she would like take the bribe, and she doesn't. So I think I can trust her going forward.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, sick. Like,
yeah, he's like uses the Bruce Wayne persona to like try to set people up to see if they're crooked or straight, which is so like interesting. You're like, damn, that's clever. Like I've never seen that done in any Batman thing before.
Yeah, and I like to. We're seeing more Bruce Wayne. Like I'd have to go back and watch the original, because it really has been a while. But
yeah,
I don't like. I remember more Batman, of course, than Bruce Wayne. But I remember him like entering a dinner party and like having to leave real soon or something, right? But in this, I do like the dialogue where he's like when he gets when he gets back on the boat and he says like that joke, and like Barbara's like and like leaves. He turns to these ladies, says the same joke, and they're like, haha, and he's like, yeah. Like, and I'm like, it's very like he's playing into that character of like what Bruce Wayne, like he's trying to portray, like cheesy,
billionaire
like,
playboy.
Yeah, exactly. And we're seeing more of that, and also reminded like he's using it to his advantage, and it's cool. I'm digging it.
Cool. Yeah. One of like the writers that you guys know, I'm a big fan of, Mark Bernard, and he writes episode 5, which I thought episode 5 was a really good episode. But it kind of goes into like Batman discovering magic for the first time, and his whole thing is like, this isn't real, like magic's not real. And if you know the comics like we have or other things down the line, it's like he has to deal a lot with different magical based characters, right? Whether it's Zatanna or there is that that goblin character, I'm forgetting what it's like a demon. He was also in the Sandman. I'm completely forgetting his name right now. But anyways, or Constantine. Right?
Constantine.
Yeah. And so we see like this is Batman's first introduction to something that's like more
Etrigan.
Etrigan,
Yep.
Thank you. That's it. Nailed it. Nice Drake. But yeah, so it's like him discovering things. So it's kind of like it's not like Batman year 0, but it might be like Batman year 2 or something, you know? And like because of his influence, it's now creating, which is a common thing, like crazier villains out there. And they're becoming more and more bombastic, I guess. But I just thought that was very well done. And also somebody that Mark had on a Fat Man Beyond, Ed Brubaker. Ed Brubaker has written for everybody, Marvel, DC. One of his like biggest characters that we all come to know is the Winter Soldier. So he created the Winter Soldier. So it was interesting knowing that this podcast happened where he was on the show 2 years ago. I couldn't help but think, from there, Ed was probably like, Mark, do you want to come on and try to write an episode?
That's
and
cool.
Then, you know, from there, like, yeah, so I don't know. This is just me, like my behind the scenes trying to connect the dots. But
yeah,
I can imagine, because that was a very great episode, having Ed Brubaker on Fat Man Beyond talking to Mark, and then going, and now Mark is on Ed Brubaker's show. So I thought that was like really kind of cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And like, if you don't mind, do you mind a little spoiler?
Yeah,
we'll talk about
please.
the first episode.
Yeah.
So there was
not me.
For me, there was a turning point.
Fine by me.
No, yeah. Oh, I guess in the viewers, like if they haven't watched it yet, this is like a little bit of a spoiler, but hopefully it's like this is the part of the show where I was like, wow, this is like I don't remember the cartoon being this dark when I was a kid, but maybe it went over my head, you know? But in the first episode, it's the Penguin. Penguin is a lady in this, but for me it works. She kind of reminded me of Big Mom in One Piece, if you've gotten that far in One Piece, guys. But just like you could be just as dark. And like there's a part in this where someone convinces her that her kid is like leaking information to the outside. And she takes her 2 kids like into the hull of the ship, and there's like an opening. And she like kind of like has them like going back and forth at each other, like, it was him. And she's like, no, I'm not even mad. Like, I just want to know who did it. And then they kind of weren't answering. And she's like, I already know who did it. And then like, she picks one of the kids. They're not really kids, they're adults, but you can tell like they're terrified of her their whole life. And he's like, please, Mom, it's not me. It's not me. And he's crying. And she's like, they stuff him in like in a trunk, and they just dump him into the ocean. And you just see him like
sink to the bottom.
Just sink. And I'm like, dude, she just murdered her child.
By like a torturous way, too.
Just because she's like, I'm pretty sure he's leaking information. Like,
right.
I was like, wow, she cares little for her family. I was like, I was like, that was dark for a cartoon. I dig it. And granted, we watch Invincible and all this kind of stuff, and like, it's just funny. I mean, just because it's so nostalgic, it almost gets. I assume how dark it's gonna get, and I was just like, wow, that was pretty dark.
Yeah, it's unexpected. for me. Like I was like, dang, did not expect it to go there. Or like the Firebug episode, like the way his arc goes and the way it ends, you're like, geez, that's messed up. You know, those cops set him up, and then what happens, and it's like, dang, this is So that's what I'm saying. I think it's weird because we've gotten a lot of these kind of nostalgic cartoons that are revamped, and you're like, is this for kids or is not for kids? Maybe it's because we can pay attention or like we realize more now. But you're like, wow, there's definitely something here for adults that it like rivals some of that stuff that you're talking about.
And it doesn't. It didn't necessarily need to be gruesome either. Like like you're saying, the Firebug episode. I guess another little spoiler, but it was just like a little. There's a part where like he gets his suit on, and then like he sees the world, he sees the street, kids playing in the street, and then he puts his goggles on, and he sees just everything on fire, and you see like these kids playing on fire, and I was like, what? Like it's not too gruesome or anything, but real like look into like how sadistic he is, and he's like kind of smiles like yes, and he runs off and like I'm gonna start this, and you're like damn, like that was beautifully done, got the message across, and again I was just like wow, it's pretty fucking dark. I love it. Like it was great.
Yeah. It is. It's really good, and it seemingly gets better every episode. I will say, like because you kind of like are reintroduced to this world and how it operates. But the voice cast I think is phenomenal. Right. We got Harmish Linklater as Batman Bruce Wayne, and he does a really good job. Like I said, changing him. Jamie Chung plays Harley Quinn. Minnie Driver is Oswaldo Cobblepot. Diedrich Bader is Harvey Dent, which is like you can see how Harvey Dent is transitioning. Christina Ricci is Catwoman. Like there's like a great cast to this. McKenna Grace is Natalia Knight. Like there's some a really good voice cast.
You got John DiMaggio as Bullock. He's the
there you go.
famous voice actor.
Yeah, dude.
Does,
so like,
what's the dog's name in Adventure Time? Famous for that. Famous for Bender.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, Bender. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, it's Bender too. Okay. Yeah. So, really well done story. Like but to your point, Drake, it took me. I really had to sit down and pay attention in that first episode, and then I was like, okay, I'm good. Yeah.
It almost felt like Batman SVU.
To
me, like a little bit. Kind of like you gotta like let the episode build, and then you're like, oh, you're in it.
Yeah, you had me at Mariska Hargitay. So
there you go. Too bad she wasn't in the first episode. You'd have been locked and loaded. But yeah. So Batman Caped Crusader, we'll definitely have to talk about it more once we all wrap it up. But I'm really digging it. I think they killed it so far, and it's completely different tone than very very much darker in some ways than X-Men '97. But very true to kind of the source material. So pretty cool.
Okay.
Now let's get into something else. That's kind of been a little. I'll just say it like it wasn't what I expected. It was a really good episode, but I didn't love it for a finale.
Interesting.
And that's House of the Dragons finale for season 2. A lot of buildup. I saw someone say like it was like a funny picture of somebody just making like a weird like a face. And it was like when you realize season 2 of House of the Dragon is really just the trailer for season 3.
Right.
Like
I heard that a lot. Yeah, the finale was a huge setup for.
Yeah.
Which I mean, I get because if that saves us from like that one dark episode we got with where the Night King or whatever comes, and it's summed up in one episode, like this whole build up.
Oh, you literally meant like physically dark, like you couldn't see it.
That was physically dark. Yeah. I know. We were just talking about another version of dark earlier.
Yeah, but that episode was black.
It was in dark as night. That's it. But. Yeah, like, something that was such a build-up and then they rush it, I'd rather have them set up. So, I mean, I totally get it. I did think there'd be a little more, but man, am I hyped for season 3, Like,
yeah. But there's so much expectation. Like this episode was great, right? We get all the relationships coming to a head, right? We see what happened with Aemon. We see what happens with Aegon. We see what happens with the dragon seeds. And now all of these dragon seeds have their own dragons. Rhaenyra basically has like her cards in her hand are fully loaded. Like she's got a full house, and it seems like everything's been flipped upside down. Man, I just made like I felt like I was about to do a Fresh Prince reference.
I
know. I was like, oh,
I heard the beat in my head when he was.
Yeah,
Get that sitcom's name out of your mouth.
Yeah. Dude, we'll get
Nice.
you, dude. We talked about this.
But yeah, I literally, as it was coming out of my mouth too, I felt like, am I rapping this all of a sudden?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, just shut up.
I just rap. Sorry, guys.
My bad.
Yeah. But literally, everybody's world is flipped upside down.
Yeah.
And then it ends, there's a few emotional points, but it's like, okay, like, you think of Game of Thrones and you think of like, there's something during the season that's just absolutely crazy. And then some of the finales are like, holy shit, what's going to happen next season? But it feels like that holy shit moment is going to come at the start of season 3.
Right. And I hope it's the whole episode and not just the first 15 minutes is done or something.
Right.
There were a couple things in this episode of like, you just come to realize like, Damon finally like, I guess realized that this place just does things to you, right?
Yeah.
Because he says he's like this when that person heard Drake, he was like, you hear that?
Yeah.
He's like, this place will do that. Like he's finally come to realize, which is funny because like this guy's been here the whole season, right?
Right.
It was cool for him to see the future thing.
Yeah,
and
how did you feel about that though? How did you feel about him being there the whole season?
I mean, they got the army. I don't know. Like, I feel like those are things where I'm like, I'm sure in the book, it doesn't feel like you're missing something the whole season. Like, like you're like in the book, it makes sense for him to be there. And then, because just everything is stretched out equally. But seeing everyone else kind of move forward in their story, what it seems like, and then you see him kind of like slowly learning. I'm like, how, like, it's hard for me to gauge, like, how fucking long is this guy here as long as everyone else is doing their shit? Or is it like, they just want us to see, like, there was just like a week span versus, I don't know.
Right.
It was just hard to tell time.
It was hard to tell for him. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good
and
point.
then the showing of what he sees in the tree and he finally sees the dream that they're talking about and everything. That was cool. But also you're like, it's one of those moments you're like, well, I know because I saw Game of Thrones, like, so there's kind of that moment. You're like, oh, what? Oh, shoot, yeah. For whatever reason, I thought I was going to see something new, and it was everything I saw already. Which is cool.
I mean, it was cool because it connects things. But you're right, like it makes the White Walkers. I don't know, like it didn't. Man, this probably put me in some hot water. I don't care. It kind of looked a little cheap in a way. Maybe the way it was shown. But I was excited about it because I'm like, oh, cool. Like he's learning about the Song of Ice and Fire and he's learning about, why the Valerians or why Targaryens need to be on top because when the White Walkers come, they need to unite the 7 kingdoms against them. Like all that stuff. Oh, you see the 3-eyed raven too, which obviously alludes to Bran. Like all that stuff is there, which is cool. But you're like, yeah, but to your point, like, but I know. Like, I know that it happens.
Yeah. So you're like, oh, okay, he got humbled. And he's like, oh, I know my place now. It doesn't matter what I want as long as this bigger thing in the end happens.
Right.
So, I mean, that's cool.
I thought that was cool. Yeah, that was like a cool realization because the whole time he's there, he's like, I'm going to take all this army for myself and I'll be king. Yeah. And like it took that vision for him to see, which it very much felt like it was the place, but also like the witch Alice the whole time was kind of maybe manipulating him as
just
well.
Like witch therapy.
Yeah, exactly. She was like witch MDMA so he could get over his like need his mommy and daddy issues or something. I don't know, but like, that was cool. Like it works, but you're like, there's still so much of this episode left. Like, are we gonna get a battle? And then it goes on from there, right?
It was real quick. It was funny to see that guy dig out when he was like, "I see you as the queen." Everyone, like the guy was like, "Hey, you could be king," And then as soon as he's not, he's like. Just goes into the crowd. I was like, that guy's fucking dead. Like, it's like, fuck, I picked the wrong side. I think the other thing that was kind of funny to me was I was like, man, and I heard this online and I thought the same thing when I was watching it though. It's like, man, they've been building this ship this whole fucking season. And like, I guess we'll see it sail next season. Like, it's like this, like, I don't know. Like, how long does it take to build this damn thing? Like,
no, you're right, Frank. Because Frank and I were talking about it, and he kind of sucks because you're right. Like, it's a badass ship. Like that ship is like the dopest ship in all the 7 seas or whatever it is. And he's like, they're working on it all season, and like the only time we get to see it ride is for like 10 seconds towards the end in the montage. He's like, what? So yeah, it's just like, all this buildup. We finally get like Adam confronting Corliss. Like, you never treated me like your son or anybody. I never needed anything from you. And now that all your kids are dead and you have nobody to pass things on, now you're trying to help me, like
that was nice. I did like that though.
Yeah. Yeah, I did too. I thought that was a good conversation. What else? Helena calling out Eamon. Like, I know you burned our brother. And
She's like, I
he's
saw
gonna
it.
he's gonna be fine, and you're not. Like, you're gonna be dead. And so
Yep.
there was that.
There was what's his name? Sorry, I'm scrolling. Larry Strong came in and he was talking to Aegon. Like, we gotta get out of here.
Yeah.
That was great. Another thing, Rhaena, she just like got herself lost trying to look for that dragon.
Yeah.
And then she sees it flying, and I'm like, that's your plan, to chase down a plane? Like, you're just like chasing this thing that can fly forever.
Yeah. She caught up to it though.
She did. But it was funny seeing her like see water and then like, oh yeah. And then Christine's like, bitch, just follow that river. Like, follow the water.
That's exactly what I was thinking too.
The dragons gotta drink water too. Like,
do they?
You'd think. I don't know. Maybe not.
Yeah. There's water in those pits. I don't know. But that's a good point. But yeah. It was cool. Like,
it was cool.
That I guess she's based off of, this might be the only, like, the biggest deviation from the books, from what Frank was telling me. Like, there was a character named Nettle that ends up riding Sheep Sealer or something, and it seems like they've kind of replaced that character with Rhaena. And like, I like that they're giving Rhaena some agency, and because she never could get a dragon, like, she goes out and finds a wild one. I think it's a pretty cool concept.
That's cool. Yeah, she's working hard for it.
She definitely is. But at the end, it's like she reaches out towards it and it's like, done. You're like, okay, I guess she gets it. But still, we don't see her claim the dragon. Or, it's basically all I'm trying to say is, like, all these examples are just set up. Like, it's just set up for something. And but I think what was meant to be the big crux of the whole episode and be the biggest part is, we see in the early season, Rhaenyra sneaks in to go talk to Alicent. While now the roles are reversed. Rhaenyra has everything, and she tells, and then Alicent shows up to basically offer her, hey, you can have King's Landing, you can have everything, just like spare me, spare my daughter, and if you can't spare Aegon. She's like, nope,
it's like,
can't do that. Yeah,
like, he's got it, and out of all of them, like, he's got to die. He's saying, like, I gotta have his head. Like, they're not gonna respect me. Like, what are you talking about? Like, we've gone too far.
Yeah. And I thought it was a great conversation. But again, all of this, like, for a finale, and for that to be one of the most impactful points, is a little bit of a letdown. I don't know how you can, shape it any other way. Like, maybe Frank was saying, like, one of the next battles to show up is a ship battle where, like, the dragon seeds are involved. Yeah, and it's a pretty dope battle. Like, why could they not? They could have maybe skipped one episode of Daemon running around the castle like, I'm hallucinating, and finished this season with the ship battle. I don't know, but
would you have
preferred,
like,
choice?
Would you have preferred, like, leading up into the ship battle, and then ship battle, and then something, then end scene, and then next season continue on the ship battle, getting more crazy, or would you have preferred full on ship battle the whole time? Because if they're bridging into season 3, it would be nice to start on something that's more poignant and inspirational.
They didn't do that in a season, but they did it in an episode of Game of Thrones, I think, like season 4, where there was like a ship coming in, and it's like right in the middle of the battle, and then the episode cuts, and then the next episode starts, and it's like kind of the end of the battle. So it's like they could have done that. They have precedent for that. So
or
sweet.
I don't know, like, could they have, there's a couple things, like, could they have made this season just a little longer just to get that? Because if the show's good and the story's strong, then you could still end on, like, a super huge thing, and then people are still going to tune in for the next thing. If you're worried about that. Also, if they, I think sometimes the verbiage or whatnot, like, if they've worded this like they split seasons into 2. Like, this is like mid-season. It's just a long season, or something. Like, people, I feel like, more willing to, like, not, to get someone like this than to like feel like they're just like what the fuck, dude? Like why like they feel like they got screwed over, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I didn't feel screwed over, but I know that there's probably a big part of the internet that did. It was like, what? Like that
was a little harsh. I didn't feel screwed over, but yeah, actually, like I kind of liked it, and then the more I thought, like I was reading about it, and I was like, yeah, I guess
I don't
it
like it.
wasn't as strong as it was. Like
you had your own opinion, and you read others' opinions, and you're like, I like that
yeah,
opinion
like
better.
I'm wrong. Yeah, right. No, it's funny because Christine read this, but it was like a long time ago. So she was like, "Oh, I wonder if this season's gonna end the way I think it will, or they're gonna not do it right." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So then I'm watching, like already in my mind, and then as it felt like it was going long, I was like, "Well, they're probably not gonna do that thing then that she said." So
which was
I guess it was a more
battle?
accepting. She didn't even say. She was like, "You want me to ruin it?" I'm like, no, don't say anything.
Okay.
So
yeah,
I guess I was a little more. I'm like, okay, well, I guess they're not gonna get to that thing. But she was like, because it's freaking cool when it happens, and I'm like,
right.
Okay, so I guess even more so, I'm like, well, when it finally does, I want it to be done right. Kind of like, and then that's when I thought back to that episode when we saw like the Night Walkers coming in, and like I kind of wish that was like the whole show led to this. Like even this is leading to that. It should have been a better
something on a high note, right? Exactly. Yeah. I saw another comment that was like, or another post that said, this was a really good House of Dragon episode. It wasn't a good finale. And I'm like, yeah, I feel like that sums it up for me. Yeah, exactly. I was like,
right.
Wow, well said. Because it's a good episode. It's really interesting, and all the characters, and like when you look at how everybody starts at the beginning of the season to now, they really did change a lot of things in their life. So it's like, wow, this is cool to see that transition. It's just kind of boring when you look at it on paper. Like when you really think about like what happened, you lay it out. It's like this person talks to this person person runs away with this person talks to this person. It's like, okay, it's a lot of good conversations, but it's not exciting. And there was some very exciting moments throughout the season with Rhaenys, with that whole battle of Rook's Rest was just like incredible.
It starts the episode with something cool that just happened, but we didn't see it. Like Aemon goes and he burns down a town.
Oh, right.
And we just see the town, and he's like, and he flies off, and I'm like,
right.
Like, all right,
you show that or something. I don't know, like a scene, like
totally. Yeah, and then they also like they start us off in Essos, like it has more like Middle Eastern aesthetics and everything, and it's like, wait, who are these people? And they're like, oh, it's the Triarchy, and like I barely remember them from season 1, and then Tywin Lannister is asking them for what, and then it's like, this whole place is interesting. Okay, I want to know more about this, but I'm like, that's all we get. We got like 15 minutes of it, and it's like back to the other story.
Right,
And
which definitely felt like a teaser to that. Those are the moments where it definitely feels like a teaser for the next season, because you're like,
right,
they introduce a new character. She's like, I'll only go with someone who can like take me down, and then they have that tussle, and she's like, yeah, I want to have your babies. And you're like, who is this lady? Like, and then that's all you see of her. Yeah.
Exactly. It was so cool. And then all of a sudden it was like, okay, let's get back to the real stuff.
You're like, what?
Yeah. I mean, I guess it pays off at the end a little bit because he's on the ships with them, but it's like, I don't know. It just, it was weirdly done. And I just kind of wish it maybe had ended on a little bit more exciting note where like the ships are just about to collide, and then like a dragon swoops in or whatever. Like Game of Thrones can do that.
Yeah.
But it just
literally any type of dragon boat blade action.
Yeah, I'll take all the above. So
that's true. There was another interesting, like it was interesting seeing the new dragon riders like interacting with Rhaenyra them, and like all the white, just like you're like, bro, like where do you come off? Like
he was like P. Diddy, man. He just thought he was on top of the world.
Yeah,
he's gonna bite him.
And they're
in
like,
the ass.
check yourself, and he's like, yeah, and I'm like, dude, is this guy? He's either gonna turn on them, or it's just gonna bite him in the ass. Like he's gonna be just too cocky and just get fucked. Like, so I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, that's what I hope happens, but it's Game of Thrones. Like the worst people live forever, and like your favorite people end up dying soon. So
I feel like he might turn on them or something for a better deal.
Ooh,
would be nice if he actually like he was a dick, but he actually proved himself, and then they respected him. That'd be a different change of pace.
I like that.
Well, that's what I thought. Like, so, I mean, I hope so, though. That's a good point. But I kind of thought that's what that turning point was when he was like, yeah, the whole time he's like, yeah, I'm related. Like, yeah. And then they're like, you should, whoa, you are? Like, go test yourself. And he's like, then he's downing himself, like, fuck, am I even related? I'm not been telling this lie. And then he finds out he is, and he gets a dragon. I thought that was his change. And he's like, wow, like I am. But he's just like, went right back to his, like, yeah, that's fucking right. Like, and I'm like, who are you, dude? Like, what?
Yeah.
But he's just got to mature, I guess. Or I don't know what it is. He's got to get humble. I was like, dude, someone needs to beat his fucking ass.
Yeah.
Like,
Jacaerys, I think, is going to throw down on him. Like the sun.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I hope. I hope that the sun comes in and, like, just wrecks him next season.
Just tunes him up, and then he's like, oh, okay, I got it.
Yeah.
I'm on board.
My bad.
Yeah, my bad, bro.
Sorry, boss. My bad, Jeju.
Sorry, Jeju.
I love Bob's Burgers. But yeah, so again, great season overall. Could have ended, I think, on a higher note, but there were so many cool things that happened this season.
Yeah.
And Rhaenyra, she has her cards stacked up, and like it seems like it's going to be pretty hard for her to get overthrown or not take the Iron Throne. I don't know who can oppose her besides, like, they have one dragon, they have Vhagar, and Helena's not going to fly. So I don't know. It's going to be good.
Yep.
We'll see. We also have the Hedge Knight that was announced right after they dropped this. They dropped the Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, which I guess is like George R. Martin's kind of novella. It's a little bit more happy. It's a little bit more upbeat, but it's like this knight who wants to prove himself and his young squire, and they go out on adventures across Westeros. So that should be fun. Looking forward to that. And yeah, that's kind of it.
Yeah. Hedge.
That's awesome.
There you go.
Oh, one more thing before we wrap up. Just like a quick thing. If you guys have Max, which I know you do, you're just talking about Game of Thrones and House of Dragons. There's a Spirited Away live action, like live on stage.
Ooh, that's right. Yeah.
And
how was that?
It's we are almost done with it. It's something like Christina and I are trying to watch, but our schedules right now are kind of crazy. So we've been throwing it on. It's really good. There's 2 renditions. We're watching one of them, and then halfway through, we're like, oh, there's like a whole nother one. I guess they're touring so much they have like another with like the leads are different people. So I guess maybe they could do every other day or something.
Oh, interesting.
Okay.
But
they put both out on Max?
Yeah, so there's both of them on Max with both leads. So certain we kind of took a peek. Certain characters that like side characters are like the same, but maybe the stage time is not as demanding, so they could do every show. But it's cool, like what they're able to do in the live theater format. The certain ways they do things, like the things they do with lighting or shadows or just you're like, oh, I wonder how they're gonna do this, and then you see it, you're like, oh, that's fucking clever. It's just cool. Like the way they're able to capture the magic of the animated movie and bring it to life on stage is really cool.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean, if you got time and you love Spirited Away, I'd say check it out.
All right.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely will watch that. I mean, Christina, for her comfort movies last week while she was preparing for the bar, it was Grease, and then we watched Dirty Dancing.
Oh, okay.
So
nice.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, she loves Mamma Mia. Like, yeah, we watched what is it, Hamilton, like nonstop the year it came out on Disney Plus. So yeah, I'm gonna suggest this one. This sounds fun.
Yeah. The one we're watching right now is the lead is Kana Hashimoto, and she's got pink with the pink flowers, and then there's another one with the lead is wearing like a white shirt with the green and the blue, like that's the other one. So, but the one we're watching right now is the one with the red or the pink and the pink flowers.
Yeah, but
it'd be
they don't
interesting
change
to go
the
check
story,
out the other
right?
one after. No, I don't think so. But it's just I'd be interested to see how the other leads just the way they choose to say certain lines or physically do things and whatnot. It'd be interesting to see. But yeah, so far I'm digging it.
Okay.
It's good. Yeah, check it out. It's
That's
in Japanese.
Nihongo.
FYI. Yeah, and it's subtitles. It's cool though.
Very cool. Yeah, thanks for that, Rec. I definitely want to check that out.
Doing
I think
it.
that's gonna be awesome. I love, like, I mean, Hayao Miyazaki's like everything he does is like incredible. So like being able to translate that to the stage, I think is going to be super cool.
Yeah.
I'm on board, man. That sounds great. Well, yeah, I think that's kind of it for tonight, though, guys. Any other final thoughts? Anything else you want to put out there before we wrap this bad boy up?
No,
Doug. Loving it.
Okay,
McDonald's.
Drake, why don't you close it out for us tonight then?
All right, guys and gals. You know what our final saying is always. Thanks for sticking it.
All right. Sexy.
The Joystick Show.
If you've enjoyed what you've been listening to, we'd really appreciate a follow, subscribe, and a review. Just how we like chatting with our friends, please share this with yours. Feel free to join the squad and follow us at JoyStickShow Joystick Show on Twitter and Instagram, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. And if you feel like submitting topics or questions to be discussed on future episodes, you can email us at joystick.show@gmail.com. As always, thank you, peace out, and make it a great rest of your week.